So are you all done with installing Sublime Text and Anaconda and all? Anybody
Yes.
who's left? No? Okay, that's really great. Okay, so you all.
I just install
Okay,
how to
done.
add this.
Pardon?
I just installed Python. That's it.
Okay, no problem.
64-bit executable file.
Okay, fine, no problem. So after installing, so we'll start with Python and entering the world of data analytics with Python. So when I talk about data analytics, it completely focuses on finding the answer to the questions which I asked to the data. For instance, I have a data, for instance, I have a sale price data. Okay, and I want to know the sale of a particular company or a sale, the most sale in a particular city. Okay, so this is what I questioned the data, and the data, when if I'll analyze it, it'll give me the answers. Like, okay, Madhya Pradesh is the one who has the most sales price, or it will give all the sale price regarding the companies. Okay, so it will give you the answers to the questions which you asked to the data. Like, you data could be in any format. It could be like .csv file, it could be a .xlsx file, it could be a .json file, it could be a .mat file, it could be even a database file with .db as an extension, right? So your database will have all the information, will have all the rough insights. You will ask a question, and then after analyzing it, after visualizing it, you will get the answer to the question. This is what all data analytics is. And Python helps in finding the answers to your questions. Okay, for instance, I want to visualize, if I want to find any answer if I want to visualize in the form of a bar chart or a histogram chart or a pie chart, so I can use Python libraries for it. Or if I want to find the correlation between any two companies, or if I want to find, if I want to find any other thing, like if I want to find the mean or median or average of anything, so I can use pandas as the framework, NumPy as a framework. If I want to find if there is any missing value or if there's any missing data, so I can use NumPy for it, right? So this is how, like, data, like Python is a support system to data analytics, right? So there are several data types. Okay, so there is this numeric, there is this dictionary, there is this boolean, there is this set, there is this integer, float, complex number, string, list, and tuple. So we will discuss all of it right now. Okay, so in numeric you have three things. Okay, one is integer, one is float, and one is complex number. So for instance, if I talk about integer, okay, so 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, any whole number or a natural number is a integer. Okay, it would be an int type. Okay, for instance, if I write so what it is written, int, and int stands for integer. Am I clear? So 1 is an integer type. If I write 1.4, so what is the type of 1.4? It is float. If you have anything after decimal, if I write 1.4 or 1.90 or anything like that, it would be a float. Okay. If I have a complex number, if there is this J or something, if I or something, so what is the type of this data? It is complex. So these are the three numeric types in the data type. Am I clear with this numeric types? One is float, one is integer, and one is complex number. You can always find the type by this syntax, okay, by type syntax. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll go forward. Now the second is dictionary. Okay. Dictionary always contains the curly bracket. I will not go deep into list, tuple, and dictionary because they are the three most important aspects which we'll see after, like when we'll build or when we code in loops or when we'll make if else statement. Okay, but curly brackets, if you see any curly brackets, they are dictionaries. Okay, now basically what dictionary is, you know, there is this you use dictionary to find words. For instance, if I don't know the meaning of mesmerize, so I'll open the dictionary, I'll go to me whatsoever, I'll read, I'll go to the word mesmerize and I'll find the synonym or I'll find the sentence, you know, the meaning of mesmerize, right? That's what a dictionary does to you in the real life, right? So that is how you are doing it here. You're creating a dictionary, you're creating a vocab for the Python. Okay, and you're storing it somewhere. Now don't forget about what ABC is. Okay, you're storing it somewhere, right? So this is what dictionary is. We use curly brackets and we use it to access it in future. We make a vocab, we make a we store what is like what should be used in further. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, it's Boolean. Okay, Boolean as in, for example, I talk about in binary 1, 0. I talk about true and false, right? So that is what Boolean is all about. See, you can see the type as Boolean. So true, if I say it will rain, it will rain. If I give you a problem statement of raining, so there are only two possibilities: it will rain or it will not rain, right? If I say something that dog is of white color, it could be true or it could be false, right? If I say my bottle is of green color, it could be true or it could be false, right? If you have only two possibilities of any occurring situation, of any occurring problem statements, we consider it as a Boolean function, Boolean data type, right? The next is set. Don't go to set. Set, again, we use curly brackets for defining sets, but it is completely different from dictionary. Set as in, there was this chapter in class 10th, if you have learned set, you were drawing the diagrams of unions and intersections, making a set of numbers. If
Something
anybody
like
remembers.
diagram.
Yeah, there was this diagram when exactly. So that is what set is all about. Okay, you don't use that much of set here. Okay, but just for the brief, I'm telling you that. So you have strings. For instance, if I write here, so it will give you a data type string. But what if I write 1? What shall it give? What it shall give? I mean, obviously it shall give you a int, right? So let's see what it gives. But it gives you string. Okay, without going with this double quote, use a single quote and then you run it. Again, you're getting a string. So why are you getting a string when you're writing a int type? Anybody has idea?
Because it is enclosed within the quotes, that's why. And anything enclosed
Exactly.
in quotes is taken as string.
Exactly. So from this, you can very well assume, or we can very well understand that you can change the int type, right? You can change the string, like to the integer to a string. I mean, you can also change the data types. Okay. So that you can do with Python. So here you cannot change a string directly to an int. Okay, there is this some. I mean, you cannot directly change an int, like string to an int, but you can directly change int, float, or other things to string. Just you have to put a single colon or a double colon. Okay, Single column and double column plays the same role. I mean, they're similar. You don't have to get confused with double quotes and single quotes when you use it. Okay. The next is list. Okay. So in list, we use square brackets. See, if there is this square brackets, these are known as list. Okay. The other is tuple. For tuple, we use small brackets. See, so these small brackets are used for tuple. Okay. So these were all the data types which we will use in our future reference while coding, while making syntax, or while designing something for the desired output, right? So data types are the most important and the most basic thing everyone should know. So I hope there is no problem, but if you have any problem, we'll take it in future. Okay. Okay, there is this thing, list and tuple. Okay, they look kind of similar. Okay, like list is doing the same thing which tuple does. Okay, but there is a difference between tuple and list. We'll also come through it in future. How to access list, how to store the values in list, all of it will come into future. So you need not to worry about it. You just need to know there are how many data types are available. Okay, just know how many languages you can like learn, like Marathi, Hindi, English, Bengali. Don't go deep into it right now. Just let yourself know that there are this kind of data types available and you're going to use it. Okay, so here is something which you all are aware of. There is this data structure. Okay, you must have learned it when you were in your final year of engineering or second or third year of engineering per se. Okay, so data structure is basically there is a structure, there is a way. Okay, if I'm saying I'm going to buy, like I want to pay a bill, so there will be a way, right? I have to first stand into a queue. Then my time, like the moment I reach to the final end, I'll pay him the money. He'll give me a slip, right? And then I'll go back home. So this is a sequence. There is a sequence. There is a way, right? So you cannot do that. You can pay the money and then you can stand in the queue. I mean, this is not possible. You cannot do this, that you can go home and then you can pay the money and then you can stand in the queue. I mean, this is something not organized. This is something not sequential. What sequential would be? You stand in the queue, you wait till your number comes, you pay your money, you get the slip, and then you go to the home, right? So this is what an organized way is. So data structure, like this is what structure is. Now what data structure is, it is a way. You have so much, I just told you, you have so much of data, you have so much of information, right? You need to store the information, you need to organize the information, you need to access the information. So to organize it, to store it, and then to access it according to your needs, okay, you will use data structure. Well, that's what data structure is. I mean, while coding Django or while coding Flash, you will not remember my class, right? You will remember somebody else's class who taught you what Django is and what Flask is, right? So when you will use my information, when you will go to study, or when you will make a code, or when you make a product, or when you will code with Python and data analytics, right? So, and I am not teaching you functions, I'm not teaching you data analytics, I'm not teaching you library on the first hand. I have a sequence, right? I'm telling you what is Python, then I'm telling you why Python, then I'm telling you what is data, then I'm telling you why data, then Python with data analytics, and so on, right? Now here what we start with list. Okay, so a list in Python is a heterogeneous container for items. Python does not support array. Okay, you must be knowing, like array is basically, anyone array?
Contiguous memory allocations.
Exactly. This is I mean, that is a definition to array. So it's basically similar to what shall I say? it is basically similar to list, but it's basically homogeneous. I mean, it stores the same data type. Okay.
Mm.
So here you can, in Python, you can store multiple kind of data types together. You can store string, you can store int, you can store boolean, you can store float, you can store this complex data types, you can store tuples, you can store dictionary. So you can store like many data types. Okay, but array restricts you to the same data type. So that is the reason Python does not support array. Okay, this is an example of how list looks like. Okay, so this is how list looks like. I mean, you need to have a comma after every value. If you're storing string and if you want its data type to be a string, you need to make sure that you have this quotes, okay, the single quotes. And to separate the two values, you need to use this comma, right? This is known as a variable. Okay, you need to store this value somewhere, right? You need to store it somewhere, right? If you fill a water, you need to pour a water somewhere. You need to store a water somewhere so that you can use it in future. So that's what variable is. I mean, I cannot call this list again and again. I cannot write this list again and again. But what I can do, I can store it in something and then I can use that thing, right? So that is what variable is. Now, as I've already said, that you can put any kind of value in a list, string, tuple, boolean, or even a list itself. I mean, you can make a list into a list. I mean, that's kind of interesting. For instance, I've given you, there is this int, there is this list, there is this tuple, there is this boolean, and then again, there is this string, right? So in list, you can also store a list. In list, you can also store a tuple. In list, you can also store a boolean, anything, any data type. But this could not happen with array. In array, you need to store the same data type. So that is the reason Python does not support array. A list is mutable. What do you mean by mutable? Anyone?
As in, we can mutate it, like we can change the value of list one by calling it
That
time and again.
you can change it. You can change the content. You can change the list. Okay, you can delete something. You can edit. You can add something. You can change the indices. What indices is? Like, see, what is the place of this one?
0,
What is the place of this list? 1, then 2,
1.
then 3, then 4, right? So this is what indices is. When I talk about the places, okay, this is what index is. The index of this tuple is 0, 1, 2. This is 3. The index of tuple would be 3, right? So a list is mutable. I mean, you can change the list according to your demand. So you can delete any value from the list. You can access the list according to your requirements. Okay, whatever you need, you can do it. What tuple is? Okay, tuple is immutable. I told you there is only one difference between list and tuple, and that is you can change the list, but you cannot change the tuple. Okay, it's immutable. So for that sake, list is used more while coding or while making a syntax. Tuple is not used that much because the moment you define a tuple, the moment you define a tuple, you cannot change it. So people rather prefer to use lists. Okay, but there are certain situations, there are certain cream situations where you use tuple. Okay, so this is a general syntax, okay, of tuple. You can write it like this. If you want to store your tuple, this is the syntax of storing a tuple. Okay, so now there's this dictionary. Again, I have told you what dictionary is. So what 1, 2, 3 are the indices. You need to also tell the variable or the value where to store it. Okay, I can also write it 2 is to 2, 3 is to 4, 4 is to 6. So what will it do? It will store the value of 2 to the index 2. It will store the value of 4 to the index 3. Okay, but right now I have a sequence, so it will store the value of 2 to index 1. It will store the value of 4 to index 2. It will store the value of 6 to index 3. I can also write a string. I can also write a Boolean. I can also write a dictionary. I can also write a dictionary into a dictionary. Okay, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this was all about data types. Okay, this was all about strings. This was all about int. This was all about list, tuple, and whatsoever. Okay, there is this print function. If I want to print something, I use this print function. For say, if I want to print anything, print then the small brackets, and I can write, hey, how are you? So what will it print? Whatever you write, it will print that. Okay. So while printing the output, you use this function print. Okay. Print basically like it's word only to tell you what print is. So this is what print function is. Now, variables and identifiers. Okay. Variables, as if I have said you, as if I have told you, variables is basically which stores your data, which stores the value so that you can access it in future. Okay. Variable can be modified. Okay, it can be changed. You can use variable as per your requirements. Okay, howsoever you want to use the variable, right? There are these identifiers. Identifiers are used to write the variables. Okay, now you have these four things: lowercase, uppercase, digit, and underscore. These four things helps you to write a variable. Okay, now there are certain things to write a variable, how to write a variable using these identifiers. Okay, so let us try it. Okay, let me write something like, let me write anything, char. Okay, is equals to 1 2 3, anything. See, there is no error. Now let me write character 23. There is no error. Let me write character space anything 23. Now here what error is. What does it say? It has an invalid syntax. So you cannot write a variable with this space. Okay, if you want to give space, if you want to segregate it, you should use underscore. Okay, and now if you run it, it runs perfectly. Okay, after this, if I write the number first, it will again show you some error. If I give this space, it will again show you the error. If I go to this underscore, it will again show you this error. What does that mean? You cannot write a number before any string. Okay. If I write something like this, it works. That means you can first give the underscore and then write the character. Okay. If I write it works. I mean, you can write the underscore and the number and then whatever you want to store in it, right? If I write, it does not work, right? That means you cannot use special characters, right? So this is how you write a variable. You cannot write variable according to you. I mean, you can write the variable according to you, but there are certain rules, there are certain ways defined to it, which is you cannot use the special characters, you cannot use the space, and also you cannot write the number before any string. You have to write the string first, right? So this is what variables and identifiers are all about. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So there are operators in Python. Okay. Now I have to operate to find the output, the desired output which I want. I use Python operators, right? So the first one is Python arithmetic operator. Arithmetic itself tell you that addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, exponential, modulus, floor division, you can do anything by using arithmetic operators. Now see, you can use this. You can make a variable, you can store your value, and then you can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, exponential, division, floor division, etc. Okay, without storing it in variable, you can also do it without storing it. How can you do that? If you write 13 plus 12, will it work? Yes, it will.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So this is what you did. You shortened the syntax. I mean, with what you did first, you made a variable, you stored the value into the variable, and then you did the addition. But you can make it more small. You can make the syntax more small. You can just you can just take the numbers and you can add it. Okay, so that is why I said you earlier that is the reason why Python is so I mean, it's so like compatible. It's so easy to understand. It's so easy to write. Okay. So this was what arithmetic operations are. So how many arithmetic operations you can perform? You can perform 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 arithmetic operations as of now. I mean, if you want to search more, obviously there are not more than this. I mean, you cannot think more than this, right? It's like thinking out of the box. And if you have something out of the box, do let me know. Okay. Then the next is, this is just I did to, like, if you have any query, if you want to take the support of using it. So I did it with variable to make it more clear, so that you can use variable and also the arithmetic operators together. Okay. So the second is relational operators. Making relation to something. I am your teacher. I mean, I don't want to be your teacher, but since I am your teacher, or she's my mother, or he's my father. So what you're doing, you're making a relation to the person, right? So that's what you're doing to one value to the other value. Okay, you're making a relation between both of them. So there are like 6 ways to make a relation between both of them. You can tell if if the value is greater than the other value, if the value is less than the other value, if the value is equal to the other value, if the value is less than equal to the other value, if the value is greater than equal to the other value, or they are not equal. So there is a syntax: greater, less than, greater than, greater, less than equal to, greater than equal to, and not equal to. Okay, so I've shown it here again, that x is equals to 12 and y is equals to 13, which I took it here. Okay. So x is less than y. This is true. Now you will have only 2 things. If it could be true or it could be false. So which data type am I using?
Boolean.
Exactly. So you're using Boolean data type. So x is less than y. Is it true? 12 is less than 13. Is it true? Yes, it's true,
Yes.
right? So you got true. 12 is greater than 13? No. 12 is equals to 13? No. 12 is less than or equal to 13? Yes. 12 is less than, right? But not equal to, but you have these 2 conditions. 12 is greater than equal to 13? No. 12 is not 13? Yes. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So can I reduce it without using the variables and stuff? Can I reduce it? So let's see. If I write 13 is greater than 12, will it work? Yes, it does. So how you reduce the syntax? Just writing the value and using the greater sign. If I write not equal to, it works. If I write it works. What if I write this? It will not work. Can't assign to literal. So it will not assign, because why we use is equals to store a variable, right? To store a variable, you use assign. Okay. So it's basically assigning something. So you don't have to assign it. You have to see if it's equal or not. So that is the reason when you use equal to sign, you use it twice. Okay. Next. So we came to these assign operators. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 8. We have 8 assign operators. Okay. We can add, we can subtract to the assigned operator, we can divide to the assigned. I just told you what assign operators are. If you assign something to something, okay, like variable, you're assigning the value to a variable. So if, for instance, if I assign a task to you, okay, so I'm giving you something. I'm making you a responsible person for some deeds, right? That's what assigning is. So you're adding to that assigned value, you're subtracting to that assigned value, you're dividing to that assigned value, right? So again, you have a value x is equals to 12. So I want to see it, right? So this is what, how you assign a variable or assign a operator by is equals to sign. So you got 12, right? If you print x, you got 12. If I add 2 to the assigned operator, what will I get? 14. 12 plus 4. If I subtract 4 to the assigned operator, I get 10. But what I should get? I should get 8. Is it? Anyone?
Because the previously assigned value got upgraded to 14 now. That's why when we subtract 4, it gets we get the value 10.
Exactly. That means your values are getting overlapped to the new values. So this was the first thing with variables. The values, you can change the values. Okay, you can overlap the previous value to the new value. Now what is the new value? The new value to x is 14. Now I subtract 4 to 14 would be 10. If I multiply 2 to 10, it would be 20. Okay. If I find the exponential, so I'll get something. So this is what assign operators are. We have this add and assign, subtract and assign, divide and assign, multiply and assign, modulus and assign, exponent and assign, and flow divide and assign. Am I clear?
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Sure.
In case we want the value of x to be fixed to 12 and not get changed to 14, 10, and 20 like it happened, what do we do in that case?
So we use arithmetic operators. This is all. This is something, a different type of operator. This is an assignment operator. It has a different role to play. But if you want to make it fixed and if you want to use it, so you'll use a different kind of operator, which is arithmetic operator. Now, logical operators. I mean, when I was in my college time, I had this NOT gate, OR gate, AND gate. So AND means this and this. Okay. So if I say this is the work and I want you and you to complete it. So you and you, that means both of them to complete it. I have this work, I want you or you to complete it. I mean, any one of you can do that. I mean, I want it to get complete, no matter who does that. Okay. You could be like you, and the next is, I have this work, you or you have to complete it. That means you have to select who will complete it and then you have to do it. I mean, only one can do it, but you have to select who will do it. Okay, so these are 3 operators which we use, like logical operators, which we use in Python. So a is equals to 7. I mean, I have stored it in the variable. I have declared a variable is greater than 7 and 2 is greater than -1. So print a, which was false. Why it was false? Because it wanted both of the statements to be correct. So 2 is greater than -1, but 7 is not greater than 7, right? So both are not getting satisfied. So that is the reason you're getting false. 7 is greater than 7 or 2 is greater than -1. I mean, one of it should be correct. So 2 is greater than -1 is correct. So you're getting true. A is equals to not 0. A is not 0. Okay, so A is not 0. So it's true, right? 7 is greater than 7 and 2 is greater than -1. But A is not 0. I have defined it in a variable. So if I print A, I'll get true. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So these were the 3 operators. Now you have bitwise. Don't go don't get confused with bitwise operators. So we have this binary thing, right? I mean, 2 has this 10, 3 has 11 as a binary operator. We use 11 for 3. We use 12 for 4, and so on, right? So if I want to calculate any binary or any bitwise value for any of it, a complement, if I use 2, it will get minus of something, minus of the complement, like minus of the binary value. Okay, so binary left shift, I mean, there is this 1100, then you shift the binary bits to some bits, and then you get it. Binary right, you shift the binary to right. I mean, these how all these works. I mean, you need to go deep into it if you really want to understand all these stuff. But there are several questions where you have been asked, find the complement of 3 or find the complement of 22. So you just have to code, you just have to write, you just have to take the sign and write the number and you will get the answer. So it is that pretty easy in computer. Okay, so see, for and to find the binary, and you have 2 and 3. So 2 is basically 10 and 3 is 11 when we see it in bit. Okay, so you get 2. Like if you do 2 and 3, you get 2. For this is an OR operator. So 2 OR